Hey everyone, this is Gabe Gurwin. I'm here today with Dean Thompson. You're watching GamingAngelGabriel, and this is what we saw. So, if you're new to the show, this is a gaming news aggregate. We say this every week. We basically take the best news stories from gaming all around the web, we compile them together, and we give our thoughts on them and how they're going to relate to the industry. Now, this was a pretty big week in gaming. Of course, we have the Wii U coming out. By the time you watch this, it would have actually already been released. But today, or excuse me, on Tuesday, we had the release of Black Ops 2. Now, obviously, Call of Duty is the biggest money-making machine, I think, on planet Earth right now. And Activision has been just completely blowing away the competition.
Oh, yeah.
So the first thing I noticed, sales numbers, first day, the first 24 hours, Black Ops 2 sold $500 million worth of units. That's just in the first day. I'm not talking the first week. So combining midnight releases and afterwards, when people went and picked it up, $500 million. Now, to put that in perspective, Halo 4, which was previously the best-selling, or is the best-selling Halo game, sold $220 million worth of units in its first week. Now, given Halo 4 is an Xbox exclusive, but even, accounting, say, if Halo wasn't, and you double the sales numbers, Call of Duty's still ahead of it by about 60 million. It's crazy to think
quite
about.
Impressive.
Yeah, it is. Now, reviews are coming in about around where I expected. I think right now on Metacritic it sits at an 83 or an 84. And I have a few reviews we're going to pull up here. I went with kind of both sides of the spectrum. So here, the first one I have is from Machinima, and they gave the game a 9 out of 10. Now, the pluses and minuses, they said, more game than you could imagine. That's true. Single-player surprises. And then the negative, Strike Force, nice try, but no dice. Now, Dean, how far in the campaign have you gotten so far?
I'm on the third level at this point.
Okay.
I haven't. I've actually enjoyed it. I think I'm actually got through the part where you're inside the desert on horseback shooting rockets at the tanks, which is pretty epic. And now I'm in this. I think it's in South America, the part after that, and then I ended up getting sucked into a couple other games. I'm trying to marshal my time amongst 4 different games right now. So, but I'm dying to spend more time with it naturally. So.
Yeah, the thing I noticed before we move on, I'll talk more about this review. I actually hated the first couple levels of it. That horseback section drove me nuts. Because I hated the way the horses controlled, and I thought the game took control away from you a little bit too much. But
yes, I agree.
After that level, the game really picked up. It got really, really good. The gameplay felt very crisp, and a major improvement over the first few levels. Now, their bottom line for this, they say, polarizing, so polarizing. I love Frank Woods' presentation of his story. I love the bounce back and forth between the 86 shenanigans and this future war. I love the fact that I didn't realize what story details I was affecting, which made the end game play out in a way that represented my personal decisions. But Strike Force, good idea, but the AI is so worthless it makes the missions too frustrating, even though the last 2 or 3 are easier than the first 2. That's definitely true, by the way.
Yes.
So I have to give a score, and with all the multiplayer potential, the technology built to make it work, the features that will make you guys come back and again, it's close to a 10. But the single player doesn't gel, has holes, has awesomeness, has pieces I suspect that they hope you miss, and that's more an 8. So they give it a 9 overall.
That's fair.
Yeah, and I'd have to agree with that because basically the first 3 missions really had me kind of really mad at this game. Now, I think I mentioned this actually on Facebook. It's like an hour and a half round-trip walk for me to get to GameStop to pick the game up. Now, when I got it, I hadn't noticed that the retainer tab on the inside of my case had actually broken, so the disc had been rolling around.
Oh, and, lovely. My favorite scenario.
I was like, I think I just yelled, damn it, really, really loud. So after that, I knocked on a kid's door, and he was actually still there, and he was nice enough to drive me over to go exchange it for a fresh copy. So that was awesome. But when I got back and started playing it, all I played the first day were those first, 3 missions that I was just like, God, this is bad. And then after I got past that and they started going into the future, I really enjoyed it. Now, as far as the Strike Force stuff goes, yeah, it's not that great. The RTS elements definitely it's really the AI that's the problem, and the fact that there's certain like inputs you think you should be able to do that you can't at certain times. Most of the time, I've heard people saying just control a soldier and play it like you usually play a Call of Duty game for those missions and just shoot people. The problem though is that to get the best ending, and I'm not gonna say what it affects, but to get like the best ending, you actually have to play all 5 of them. In total, it'll take you probably maybe an hour, maybe a little bit less, to complete all the Strike Force missions. And the first one sucks. The second one's good, as is the third one. I think I didn't like the fourth one so much. Then the fifth one was pretty good again. So if you want to get the best ending, you can do that. But
yeah, I could easily see myself trying to play through them and trying to figure it out. Although I heard it's the AI is kind of worthless. That you're almost better off going in, even once you control a lot of those elements. It's still better if you go in and handle things yourself, from what I understand.
Yeah, it is. But the game, it's generous enough that you can do that and you can still get through it. I think they might have realized that the AI sucks, and the AI is still one of the main problems I have with Call of Duty. It's not like so game breaking, but it's something that it doesn't seem to be evolving over the course of several games. But we're going to move on to the second review, which is from The Escapist. I think they went a little bit lower. 4 out of 5, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right from them.
They said, it's the first time in a while that a Call of Duty single player hasn't just felt like a roller coaster dragging you along, and the multiplayer still has all the normal hooks to keep you playing. Not every new change goes over perfectly, but it's refreshing to see a developer trying to do something new with the military shooter genre. Now, one thing I want to point out is this element of choice that's in Call of Duty. Now, it's been a big thing. Obviously, Dishonored made a big deal about it. We had Mass Effect 3, which is obviously all about the choices you make. But Call of Duty has always been kind of, this very linear experience. So it was odd to see that these choices, are being added in. Now, yes. I welcomed it, but the only thing with it is, even though these choices are there, the mission structure is still very linear and very, you better do it this way, or you're going to die, and then once in a while they'll give you a little choice. Usually you don't even realize that there's a choice being given to you because you're used to this Call of Duty formula, and you might miss it. So, and the issue is you actually can't go back and redo something like that. Strike Force, if you don't do it, you lose a chance, and you only have a couple more chances to beat that level. No. When you get to the end, though, you can actually rewind and see all the choices you missed. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, that sounds interesting.
It is. And some of the endings are very, very different from each other. And then this isn't spoiling anything, but at the end there's this really dumb music video with the bad guy, Sergeant Woods, and 2 members of Avenged Sevenfold playing some metal song. And that's after the credits. It's completely unrelated to the actual story. But yeah, Black Ops 2, I played, I beat the campaign, and I haven't played any zombies yet, but I played multiplayer. I thought the game was very smooth. I like the new Pick 10 system they're going with. Mm-hmm. Hit detection was spot on. Right now, I like the map design, but I do think the maps I played, at least so far, feel kind of a little bit, not cramped, because there is, for Call of Duty games, they're kind of big, but they're a lot
fairly contrived.
Yeah, but there's a lot of walls and stuff where you can get shot. It was like, and the spawn system, they need to work on it, because I was spawning and getting shot almost immediately.
That's my only complaint with all of these multiplayer Call of Duty games, is the spawning system is still, it just irritates the living hell out of me. But other than that, I think it's great. I think it's smooth and it looks nice. The map design overall isn't bad. It's just the spawning.
Textures also look quite a bit better than in the past, especially, if you go up to them and you have your face right up against them, they're going to start looking like they're painted on. But if you're backed up a little bit, I was surprised by the changes there. Faces look pretty good. Voice acting, I'm a little bit polarized on this. Michael Rooker plays Harper, one of the Navy SEALs.
Which I like. Yeah, I think he did a good job.
He has a very distinct voice, so you have to kind of get used to it, but he does a good job. Jimmy Kimmel makes an appearance, which I thought was kind of funny. Obviously, Sam Worthington's still voicing Alex Mason when you're playing in the 80s sequences. And I thought Woods' character this time, they used it kind of they were too closely stuck to the story elements from Black Ops 1. He says, "You can't kill me." I think they screwed up his character a little bit too much, but It's a great game. I'd probably give it a 9, a 9
Mhm.
out of 10, because there's a couple little issues I have with the map design, and then some story and issues at the beginning of the campaign. But that's Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Pretty much, I think it lives up to expectations. Not much more than that, but it lives up to expectations, and there are quite a few cool moments. It looks like the series is starting to at least try to move forward, which is great.
And
You don't want the
yeah,
makers to get content.
it also is pretty colorful. I think overall it's
Yes,
a
it is.
slight notch up from the first one. There's a fairly diverse amount of graphic design elements and color. Even the menus and the way they introduced this new element with the zombies is nice. So I think it's a quality package overall, and probably a notch up from the first one.
Yeah, lots of content, and one thing I thought was kind of strange. I understand why they did it, but I thought it was kind of weird. When you're switching between the 80s sections and the 2025 sections, did you notice that your HUD and stuff actually changes, like the font?
Yes,
I,
I did actually. I noticed a lot of visual cues like that. I thought it was kind of odd, but it's interesting, and
yeah,
maybe it's just kind of it perhaps creates a contrast between the 80s and the future. So,
yeah. Personally, I thought the future kind of font and stuff was easier to see, but you know, and one Strike Force mission in particular, there's the section where you're like on the edge of a beach coming out of the helicopter, and the water looks really good. So yeah, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. If you haven't picked it up and you're a fan of first-person shooters, I think there's enough innovation here for you to not feel the same way I think a lot of people felt about Modern Warfare 3 playing it way too safe. So moving on, we're going to talk about something on the opposite end of the spectrum. This is another Call of Duty Black Ops game, came out on the same day, and that's Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified. Now, I had talked about this game a few weeks ago. We were talking about Nihilistic and how mediocre most of their games have been. Well, this isn't going to help them that much. Right now, game sits average, I believe, at a 33 out of 100. That makes it, I think, the worst game on the PS Vita. Now, I have two reviews here. One's from Game Informer, one's from IGN. Dan Reichert, who's a huge fan of Call of Duty, started this off by saying it's a complete embarrassment for gaming's biggest franchise. He said on the box on the side, gave it a 3 out of 10. Generic environments play host to a wide assortment of glitches. Sound is an awful lot of unnecessary F-bombs are thrown around. Playability, outside of the goofy touchscreen controls and a poorly implemented sprint function, it mostly handles fine. Entertainment, do not play this game. So he actually posted a screenshot of it that showed like 4 or 5 dead enemy bodies all lying down the exact same way. They all had like one arm to one side, one arm to the other side. It looked like they were all sleeping in a row, but that was just the animation they chose. And he said he beat both the Hostiles mode and the campaign in under 1 hour. Now, this isn't like a $30 or $40 game like most of the PS Vita games are. This is a $50 release.
wow.
So, yeah, this is not what the Vita wanted. He also talked about how online right now is mostly broken. He could barely play it, and that there's a mode called, or a map called Nuke House, which is a tiny version of Nuketown that constantly has you spawning right next to enemies, so they can shoot you again. So IGN, IGN, which it's kind of funny, you know, they like to point out that that their editorial staff and like their advertising staff are completely separate from each other, and that they won't, be bullying each other. This kind of stemmed from a whole GameSpot Gersman incident a few years ago with Kane and Lynch. Yeah. But right now I'm actually looking at their website. At the top and on the side, there are banners saying Call of Duty Multiplayer, now in your hands, and then there's a limited edition bundle. Review says, far from a system seller, and in the end they gave the score a 4 out of 10.
Ouch.
One positive, they said, menus and multiplayer options are mostly true to their franchise. Negatives, poor controls, bad multiplayer maps, terrible narrative, and bafflingly stupid AI. So, yeah, this is a... I mean, I kind of saw it coming, but at the same time, Sony really needs to step their game up. We'll be talking about this more in their feature, but this is just disappointing. You can't have this big system seller with attempt to have a system seller with the biggest franchise on planet Earth and give it to a half-rate developer who now, has clearly shown they cannot create a good game. They've been giving many opportunities from Sony to take their new hardware, sometimes their struggling hardware, and give it the killer app it needs. Resistance Burning Skies was okay. Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified looks to be complete crap. PlayStation Move Heroes was okay. So, man.
Yeah, it's not looking great for Sony. I'm extremely disheartened over it. I can only hope that things change for the future, for their own sake, as well as for the gamers that are fanboys and that certainly enjoy their products and exclusives like I do. So,
And
frustrating.
What seems to be working well for them are their core games on the PS3. But when they start branching off of that, and I hope they have success with the Vita and with the Move, they just can't seem to do it. Wonder Book, Book of Spells, I didn't even know it came out until today. It came out actually same day as Black Ops 2. It's getting okay. I think it has like a 72, 73. But I was watching a test chamber on Game Informer, and they couldn't get the thing to work. It looked just like that demo from E3. It looked just as bad as that. And, man. So, Sony, get your act together. We love you. We hope you come out on top. But something else happened. Actually, Nintendo, I guess, has a little more faith in their series than some of their competitors do, because they released copies of the game and took off the review embargo much earlier than we're kind of used to now. So New Super Mario Bros. U has like an 84 average, I believe. I have a couple reviews up, and seems to be what I was kind of thinking. Works like Mario, but not much innovation. So for Joystick, they actually said the New Super Mario Bros. Series may have taken the beloved Nintendo franchise back to its 2D roots, but New Super Mario Bros. U reintroduces what made the original game so good in the first place. It proves that there's more to the formula than just impeccable platforming. There's a sense of wonder again, of exploration and discovery. I'm not quite prepared to say New Super Mario Bros. U fully recaptures the spark of Mario's 2D heyday, but it's an impressive step in the right direction.
Good.
So that's obviously a good start for their mascot, their biggest franchise.
It sure is. I hope it's a start of a continuing trend.
Right, and it looks like they are trying to do some new things with it, but maybe not. I'd like to see another 3D Mario. I think it was 2010 where Galaxy 2 came out, but we haven't really heard much of anything, and I think on consoles, the 3D Mario games just tend to be a little bit more fun for me. But G4, they gave it a lower score. I think they're one of the only mixed reviews right now. Excuse me. They gave it a 3.5 out of 5, which, is a 7 or 70 on the Metacritic scale.
Average.
Yeah, and they said, make no mistake, this is still a solid 2D platformer with some great Wii U co-op experiences that show off some of the unique features the Wii U can bring to bear. But the core game, the world map, and the level 6-3 and the things you can jump on is a reminder of how conservative gameplay design can sour a once-winning formula. These are levels you've played before, in high definition, I guess. Despite all that, though, the question, is it fun, is easily answered. Yes, New Super Mario Bros. U is one of the best reasons to go out and buy the newest kid on the console block. If you want more Mario, this is where he'll be for a little while. So, it appears, yeah, it's Mario, it's on the Wii U, and for right now, at least, Nintendo seems to be, I guess, content with that. I know you're not a huge Mario fan, but I've liked the game since Super Mario World. That was the first one I played way back on the Super Nintendo when I was really little. I've since played both 1 and 2. I've not played 3, which a lot of people tell me is the best. But I've played a bunch of them. It's a series I really like, and I've seen this stagnation and this sense of if it ain't broke, don't change anything kind of
indifference. Yeah.
Which is not what you want out of Nintendo. This is this is the company that brought us franchises of like Star Fox, like Metroid, like The Legend of Zelda.
I actually like Star Fox. I actually had a lot of fun. My friend had that game on his system, on his NES, and I played a lot of it. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was one of my favorites. But it seems that Nintendo is content with kind of tweaking little things and putting out the same kind of games, and with New Super Mario Bros. 2, which was released for the 3DS, this was pretty evident. The game, it was fun, worked perfectly fine, but it was pretty short. I beat it in, I think, a day, and it was just coins. That was the thing in it. It had coins. In this one, it appears that they're not making it so gimmicky. They're adding more Wii U features, and they're trying to kind of make the experience a little more seamless. But I think that their next game has to be a 3D Mario title where they shake things up again. They can keep releasing these 2D ones, but they need to be careful about franchise fatigue, even for a character as well known and as beloved as Mario. So the is your cat meowing in the back?
Oh, it's Vinny Corleone's hungry.
Sorry
about that.
That's okay. So the last set of reviews we have today is for Nintendo Land. And this is the packing game. If you get the deluxe version of the Wii U, Nintendo Land is the game you get. This is sort of like their Wii Sports. Now, I think, Destructoid, Jim Sterling gave this game a 7 as well. And he said those unconvinced about the Wii U would benefit from finding themselves a way of trying out Nintendo Land. It manages to do a lot with the system without, I believe, even scratching the surface of what more focused and dedicated video games could achieve. It's a game meant to excite you more about the system you just purchased, and that is what it does. Well worth checking out at any rate. It's kind of what I expected. I think a lot of people,
sounds about right.
A lot of people are saying, "I'll play this, but only if it's a pack-in game," and that's why I'm getting the deluxe edition. I'll have to wait for it, but because I want to try this out, but I don't really want to spend money on what I know is a big tech demo. Now, one other thing I saw, I can't remember what review this was on, but the thing they mentioned was a lot of the franchises are a little too obscure for casual gamers to really know about, and some of the mini games are too superficial for the hardcore gamers to really appreciate. They said, like, the Zelda one is basically people with Wiimotes swing their swords, and if you're using the gamepad, you shoot your bow. But we know Zelda's not about swinging your sword and shooting your bow. It's about swinging your sword, shooting your bow, solving puzzles, and exploring this whole world. So I was a little bit, cautious about that. It reminded me of the Legend of Zelda 4 Swords co-op game that came out a few years ago on the GameCube, which I really didn't like. I actually downloaded it. It was given away for free on DSiWare, and I just couldn't get into it because it just drops you down with all of your gear and you start swinging and fighting stuff, and that's not what makes Zelda fun. What makes Zelda fun is starting off with nothing and finding things and realizing, I can do this.
Exactly.
So, Nintendo Land, some of the games do seem to work better. Donkey Kong one looks pretty fun. The F-Zero one looks pretty fun.
I like the in fact, that was another one that I used to play a lot of was the F-Zero. I loved it.
Yeah, I think I have one on the Game Boy Advance that I really enjoyed. It was difficult, but a lot of fun as well. So, Nintendo Land average is about a 76 or 77 right now. Which actually I checked, Wii Sports almost the exact same thing. So even though there was all this hype about Wii Sports when the Wii came out, seems that they're actually scoring very similarly to each other. And it looks like it has quite a bit of content. I think there's 12 mini games, lots of different things to show off the Wii U. And Zombie U, I know you're pretty excited about this.
I'm actually going to get it. In fact, after talking with you, I'll probably go ahead and reserve the deluxe edition. I just wish they had two things. I wish they had a date of when they're actually going to have more of the product available.
Yeah.
To where I can actually get my hands on it. And then as far as other games, I like the Zombie U game and some of the other older, I guess, Nintendo Mario Brothers game. It's a chance for either old fans or even some new ones to I guess roll their sleeves up and get in on it. But I just wish they had a little bit more. They had a few more details as to what they're working on, what's coming, dates, times, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's my only concern. But I'm extremely interested. Just based on the Zombie U alone, I'm gonna go ahead and go down to my GameStop next week and reserve it.
Yeah, and I have the basic edition pre-ordered, but I don't want that. I'm actually just going to put whatever money we have on that towards the deluxe whenever that comes out. But I think only one review has come out for Zombie U so far, but it was the highest scoring of all the Wii U launch titles. It got like a 92. It looks great. Very reminiscent of old survival horror games where you're running around where you only have a few shots.
Exactly. Which is what I'm interested in. It kind of reminds me of the old Land of the Dead game, which is a PC and Xbox One original, which is cheesy looking back on it, but it was a lot of fun. It was probably the closest thing to the Zombie U game.
Yeah, so it looks great. I think this is actually kind of a sort of reboot of Ubisoft's first commercial title, which I think was just called Zombie. So I'm very, very excited for that, to try it out, see what the story's like. So far, the story doesn't seem to be that big, but
yeah, it's probably not engrossing, but I'm sure. I mean, it's going to be a serviceable experience to kind of launch you into the whole zombie apocalypse in an interesting setting in London. So
right. Okay, so what we're going to be moving on to next is that Adam Sessler, formerly from G4's X-Play, is now joining Revision 3 Games as kind of their executive editor, I think was the title he has. So he's only done a few shows or a few videos so far, but
I've enjoyed all of them.
yeah,
immensely.
I really like his stuff. I really like kind of his mix of very, very knowledgeable information and then kind of this self-loathing, or not self-loathing, but self-depreciating sense of humor he has. He's willing to make fun of himself. So I was a little bit surprised he went to Revision 3. I was thinking maybe he'd go to like Machinima, do something there, but
Exactly.
But maybe this is what they need, and maybe this is what he needs. Obviously, I thought he'd be doing something internet related because, YouTube has kind of split into two separate groups right now. It's video games and cats, and
I like both.
oh yeah, and but gaming is just so huge on YouTube now. So I think this is a smart move for him. Hopefully, he enjoys it enough there to stick around, and it looks like he's given a little more creative freedom. He seems to really like it. So best of luck to him.
He seems like he likes it. My first impression, his first two shows on there where he's a little bit uncomfortable, or Max Schofield was maybe a little bit uncomfortable because it's almost a clash of the Titans, at least on that show. So overall, it's extremely interesting. I think it's a great chemistry. I think I'm looking forward to seeing more of it as it is unraveled, and as we see more of his performances and his input. He's extremely bright, and his insight is awesome.
Yeah, for sure. He started a big thing with X-Play, and to be honest, I'm almost happy that G4 is just completely changing everything, and I kind of hope the network fails now because they kind of just tossed him out, and it's a video game network. I don't know what they're trying to do. We're not going to get into that now, though, because this is about Adam Sessler. He's at Revision 3. Best of luck to him. Hopefully, maybe Morgan Webb will join him there if she doesn't get, sucked into doing something stupid with the new G4.
Almost reminds me of Jeff Gerstrom when he left GameSpot, and he kind of was in a place of limbo for a while, and now he's kind of found a home over at Giant Bomb, which seems like it's working out well for him. He's another one who I also follow, like Adam.
Yeah, and Gerstmann, of course, then was his network, or Giant Bomb, was acquired by GameSpot again, which I thought was pretty funny. That was a few years ago now. So the last news story we have today, Dean pointed this out to me, and I had watched it. Grand Theft Auto 5 Rockstar released their new trailer for this game, which looks amazing. It has 3 protagonists. There's a video, I have a link that you guys can see that's in the description. But I played quite a bit of GTA 4. I don't think I ever beat it, but I got pretty close to the end. How familiar are you with the series?
Extremely familiar. I played a little bit of the second one before 3 came out. When 3 came out, I wasn't real thrilled with it. I actually took it back to Best Buy to see if I could exchange it for something else, but it wasn't going to happen because I took the plastic off.
Yep.
So I said, hell, I'll take it home and try to get used to it. Once I understood the mechanics and what it was all about, I couldn't stop playing it. In fact, I beat it. I got 100% completion on it and on Vice City, and went through and replayed it again on a harder setting and just loved it. I love finding the collectibles, just an insane hundreds of hours of time just consumed on it. So if I wasn't wasting time building engines for cars or working on my cars, I was playing Grand Theft Auto 3. And Vice City, the San Andreas, I liked elements of it, but I didn't like being kind of forced to play as that particular character in that setting. But other than that, I thought it was fine. The Grand Theft Auto 4, I love the detail, the immersion of the city. It really tells a great story of New York City, and as far as immigrants coming here and starting and making do with what you have and everything. But I didn't like a lot of the mind-numbing mini games.
Yeah.
Constantly being interrupted with a cell phone to go
Cousin,
play darts
do you
with
want to go
someone
bowling?
or date some inane broad that you're going to end up breaking up with the following day or whatever. I just wasn't into it. But the new one, I have good news. They're going to eliminate some of those mini games through the phone. You'll still have the phone, but it'll be on a map. So you now will have a choice. You won't be constantly interrupted on the way to a big heist. with a mini game of darts or bowling.
Yeah. He
The
has to
dating
go
thing is
bowling a lot.
gone. You won't have the weightlifting thing anymore. So they've kind of listened to the fans. They've improved on it considerably on the new one anyway.
Yeah, it looks great. I played Vice City a lot at my cousin's house. I have 3 on my iPhone. Don't play it on the iPhone. The controls are so bad. It's
It looks bad. I watched Mark's review of it from Classic Game Room, and it looked frustrating.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people say, "Wow, it's great." I mean, yeah, the graphics look just like the PS2, but you can't play it because you're using freaking little invisible touchscreen sticks.
In fact, I just downloaded on the PlayStation Network. I have it on my PS3, and it's not bad looking. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah, so GTA 5 coming out in the spring, probably a good time. This used to be this huge franchise. I mean, it still is, but it used to be like the franchise. And it might sell better in November. But now with games like Call of Duty, and especially this year with Halo 4 coming out, maybe the spring is a better time for the game to get released. I'm thinking probably late spring as opposed to early spring. And the 3 protagonists will be interesting. Want to see what they do with them, see what kind of story this has. Obviously, with 4, it was a story of an ambiguous Eastern European country, their immigrant coming here, and kind of making a new life for himself after a war. This game,
it was well done. It really wasn't my cup of tea. I'm much more excited about this. You can play as the 3 protagonists. You can switch on the fly. Let's say one of them is flying the helicopter. You can go from flying the helicopter to suddenly firing an M16 up the back of the helicopter at a pursuing vehicle, or a sniper that's up on a billboard watching the whole thing. So it has some fascinating dynamics that are going to really radically change the whole style of gaming that's in the franchise.
It looks great. I'm excited to see what they do with multiplayer, because I did actually like kind of the free roaming, kind of do whatever you want online multiplayer from 4. So now we're going to move on to our feature of the week, and this is 2 parts to it. 1, can Sony pick the PS Vita back up? And 2, will Nintendo be able to replicate the Wii success with the Wii U? Now, we're going to talk about the first part first. I am starting to believe that Sony cannot pick the Vita back up, which is a shame because I bought it on day 1, bought like 3 games for it, and thought the system was going to be amazing. And actually, from a hardware stance, the system is amazing. Games look great on it, and it controls well. But there's just nothing to play. We're going to get Killzone Mercenary, which is, great. The game looks actually really, really good. It's one of the first games people are saying, looks great. But besides that, looking down the line, there's just not that much to offer. Sony has not been selling very many consoles, and the PS3 is doing very well. But the Vita, they say they want it to go until like 2015. Unless they announce some really good games very, very soon, I don't see the system lasting more than another year and a half or 2 years, which is obviously very depressing to me because I was extremely excited when it came out.
I know my nephews all have it and spent a lot of their allowance of money buying them, are all excited. And they're same thing. Everyone's sitting on their hands waiting for Sony to produce something on all the consoles. It's very frustrating.
And it's like, you get a Call of Duty same day as the release. It's crap. You get
Blackluster.
Yeah, you get an Assassin's Creed game. It's decent. It's not amazing though. Like everyone thought that was going to be the real killer app. So it's just very disappointing. It seems they're not using the system's abilities to be this big hardcore gamers heaven kind of on the go to its advantage. Now, as far as the and like I said, I don't think the system will be successful. While the PSP was only moderately successful, the Vita looks like it's crashing and burning, and I'm very disappointed about that.
Oh, that's a shame.
The Wii U, on the other hand, I'm surprised. The system, there seems to be a lot more interest in it. Now, people on the street who knew about the Wii before it came out don't know about the Wii U. I know my RA, I mentioned Wii U, and he said, "What's that?" And I'm like, "It's coming out in a week." I haven't seen many commercials for it, but I think the system will be successful. I don't see it being Wii successful, but I think the system could sell around the level of what the PS3 sold this generation. To date, 70 million. It is now, the PS3 is now caught up with the 360, actually. So
I'm actually more excited about the Wii U than I was for the Wii. The Wii, to me, was just a gimmick with a motion control thing, at least in my opinion, back early on. But the Wii U looks like it's taking a whole new dynamic. It's a much more interactive thing with a small tablet. I'm much more intrigued, and I'm certainly going to jump on the bandwagon. I'm the most excited I've been since probably the Super NES for getting a Nintendo product. So
Yeah,
I'm pumped.
and it is underpowered, slightly better GPU than the current gen system, slightly
Sure.
weaker CPU, which, like I've mentioned before, has me kind of raging. But Nintendo's still selling the system at a loss. And some of the games that are coming out for it, there's actually some good ones they've announced after E3, where people were all saying, you dropped the ball. They showed a game. It was just known as Project P100 at the time. It's now the official title, the Wonderful 101, which is kind of like, it's sort of like Pikmin meets a beat 'em up. It looks very interesting. You can take all these superheroes together to form weapons, and uses the gamepad in interesting ways. That's Platinum Games. Another Platinum game that is now going to be an exclusive for the Wii U after being a PS3 360 title is Bayonetta 2. They got that as an exclusive title for published by Nintendo. Of course, we talked about games like Lego City Undercover, Rayman Legends, which is coming out sometime next year, published by
The Rayman one
Ubisoft.
looks really good.
Yeah, it does. It's the one I'm most excited about, and the only one I've gotten a chance to play a little bit of at the demo unit that they had at my local GameStop. But the Wii U, I think now, will be a success. I don't think it's going to be a smashing success, and it's not going to give Nintendo this huge reservoir of money to fall back onto after their next portable console doesn't do well, like it did with the 3DS when that was trying to pick itself back up. But I think the Wii U will be successful, and Nintendo's going to get their groove back. Now, it's good that they're releasing it now, because when I think when the next Xbox comes out, I think someone said it's going to be called the Xbox Trinity, or that's the code name. I actually really like that. And the inevitable PlayStation 4, which I think is more like 2 years away, about 2 years away. They'll be able to get a little bit of a market lead. So the system, I think, will be successful, but it needs to have games coming out consistently, because the problem with the Wii has been it had a lot of great support, both first party and third party, for a couple years, and then the first party support stuck around for about a year or two after that, but the third party support was gone, and now first party support's pretty much gone. Last year we had like that Kirby Returns to Dreamland, and we had Zelda, and that was pretty much it. This year, nothing. So
the House of the Dead overkill, and I almost bought the Wii just to play that, but then it later got ported to the PS3. I go, thank God.
So I mean, what are you gonna do? We're just gonna have to wait and see if the Wii U continues to sell well after these core gamers who pre-ordered the system, are playing it, if there's anything left on the shelf, and if anyone's interested after the fact for a few months' time. Like the Wii was, because it was impossible to find a Wii for months after that system came out. I think I finally got one back in like February of 2006 when it came out, of 2007. I got my 360 in February of 2006. So yeah, Wii U's going to be successful. I'm going to say it now, but it's not going to be as successful as the Wii. Nintendo Land is not going to generate the same buzz that Wii Sports did, because motion control is now everywhere. But it's Nintendo. I think they'll be able to pull themselves around, and I love the company's attitude.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's on the right track, and all we can do is hope for the best, and just a flood of good titles. That's going to propel it into the future, because it has potential to grow, and it certainly has the audience from day one, from the 80s. So.
All right. Now, the last segment, we're just going to talk about what we've been playing. Now, obviously, neither of us have been feeling very well, but I've been playing Halo 4 and Black Ops 2. I've been kind of switching between the two. And I got to say, I went back to Halo 4 today, and I've been playing this mode called Regicide, which is sort of like a kill the leader kind of mode, where the leader's marked on the map and everyone goes after him, and I'm loving it. Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, I'm loving the online for that. What have you been playing?
Well, aside from feeling like $100 with this flu that hit me, I've been playing. I beat all of Forza Horizon. I started playing Forza 4 again just to get some more achievements. And, finish up with some of the new. I got a bunch of DLC car packs that I haven't even tried until recently. Black Ops 2 I'm playing. I'm actually waiting another week for the final mission on 007 Legends, now that I saw the Skyfall mission. Mm-hmm. I'm also working slowly on the actual Medal of Honor game, on the Warfighter game too. A few levels into that now. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it at the moment. It's just kind of going back and forth. A lot of driving games. And also Most Wanted.
Yeah.
I finally started picking up a few more achievements in that, and starting to play that more now too. So it was a flood of too many games. This is a very busy time of year for me work-wise. So I come home, I'm drained. I can usually put an hour and a half or 2.5 hours in on a game a night. So I'm getting behind weekly on the games with new ones coming up. The Far Cry 3, I'm going to have to, if I have to take a month off from work to play that one, I'll have to. It looks very good. I keep finding, in fact, the latest Game Informer has a wonderful spread on that, by the way.
It's waiting for me at home, so I'll see that, not the Game Informer. All right, guys. Well, this is a sick week of what we saw, and it's brought to you by the color Phlegm Green. My name is Gabe Gurwin. I'm joined by Dean Thompson. You're watching Gaming Angel Gabriel, and this is what we saw.
All right, guys. Enjoy your games.